Hi, my name is Abby Jones, and today I'll be discussing the impact of virtual reality. One of the most important things I have learned in this class this year is how to program a web page in HTML and CSS. I used a website called cPanel to create a public HTML page. I added all of my information about virtual reality to different pages of this website through the File Manager tab in order to show my audience the importance of this innovation. First, I created my banner using the Pixlr Advanced Editor on Pixlr.com. I created a new image and set the size of the image to 800 by 200 pixels. And I included my innovation topic, which is the impact of virtual reality, and then added my name and logo to the banner. I also set the background as a blue textured image, which I found online. And I saved my banner as a JPEG file type. Next, I created my logo using the Pixlr Advanced Editor. I created a new image and set the background as transparent so it could be seen on any background. I added the text virtual reality and an image that represents my topic. I chose to use an image of a VR headset because I thought that everyone would understand what it is, since it is pretty universal. I used black for the image and orange for the text because the banner color is blue, and since blue and orange are complementary, I thought that it would make the text stand out. Then save my image as a PNG file to preserve the transparent background. Last, I created an original animation for my webpage using the EasyGIF.com GIF Maker, which is this right here. I included 3 images, one image of my logo, which is right here, one image of a VR headset that I created, and one image of myself. I changed the delay time to 150 and then saved the file as a GIF file. Virtual reality is a computer technology that uses virtual reality headsets or multi-projected environments, sometimes in combination with physical environments or props, to generate realistic images, sounds, and other sensations that simulate a user's physical presence in a virtual or imaginary environment. A person using virtual reality equipment is able to look around the artificial world and, with high-quality VR, move around in it and interact with virtual features or items. The effect is commonly created by VR headsets consisting of head-mounted goggles with a screen in front of the eyes, but can also be created through specifically designed spaces with multiple large screens. All of this information can be found here on my index page, along with the table of contents, which includes the purpose page, effects and impacts page, technical aspects page, relationship to data page, and also my page on my references. The first page I'm going to be talking about is the purpose page. One of the questions that I had to answer was indicate the name of the innovation and provide a clear description of its intended purpose. I talked about how virtual reality serves several different purposes in society, such as improving education by changing the way people learn, giving them more hands-on experience in certain fields, such as engineering, design, business, the arts, and entertainment. Virtual reality can also be used to develop new models of training methods for businesses across the world, and can further help those businesses with their communication and interaction with other companies. All of that is talked about right here under the purpose of virtual reality. I incorporated these 2 images on the left because I thought they would show the audience a better understanding of the ways in which virtual reality can be used. The photo on the left is of students using a VR headset to enhance their learning through hands-on experiences on their computers. And the photo on the right is of people using VR to visualize a cityscape in order to benefit, most likely, their business or a project that they are working on. The next page I worked on was my impacts page, and I had to explain a benefit or harmful effect of the innovation, and I chose to explain one benefit. So I talked about how virtual reality has been utilized greatly in regards to mental health and counseling. And some of the examples that I gave were in regards to public speaking. If someone has a fear of public speaking, which is very common in the United States, they would be able to learn skills and build up their confidence in a virtual environment rather than in front of people. So that would be a good way of practicing for them. Virtual reality is also used to treat people who have developed PTSD or post traumatic stress disorder, such as soldiers, and that is as a result of a life threatening situation. And the video below talks about how virtual reality is used in regards to helping fix mental health issues, and that's this video here. I then had to explain the impact that virtual reality has had on society, the economy, and culture, and I chose to focus on society in general. And I talked about how virtual reality applications allow students to interact with digital objects in virtual locations, letting them understand cultures across the globe. Virtual reality is also beneficial to designers because it allows them to visualize their sketches, as well as to architects because they can visualize their blueprints through VR. And the following video, which is right here, it talks about how virtual reality has impacted society through healthcare and education especially. And I used my phone to record this video and edited it with the WeVideo editor, and then I published it on to YouTube. How has the creation of virtual reality impacted society?
Well, Abby, you see, virtual reality is being used to prepare doctors for high-risk operations, as well as helping patients cope with illnesses such as PTSD, anxiety, and depression. It's also had a huge impact on education by providing students with new ways to interact and gain hands-on experience.
With Google Expeditions, teachers can take students on immersive virtual field trips to anywhere in the world. The next question that I had to answer was to indicate one field other than computer science which virtual reality has impacted or has the potential to impact in the future. So I talked about how virtual reality can be used to train doctors and other medical personnel, and it could also be used to enable medical students, to understand the human body through virtual interaction. Medical students can perform hands-on procedures, but in a safe and controlled setting, so they are not at risk of harming the person they would be operating on or performing any procedure on. They're able to learn from their mistakes in an environment where there is no risk to the patient. And the following video talks about how virtual reality helps in many ways in society, specifically with medical treatments, and this is with mental health problems. The first image on this page shows how much spending is predicted to be spent on different types of VR in 2025. And the second image is of doctors using VR to visualize a patient's brain to prepare for a surgery. This last image is showing a chart that shows how much of an impact people think virtual reality has on society today. And I used Google Forms to collect this data from my classmates by creating questions for them to answer. And I posted the surveys that I did on my website. The next page that I worked on was my technical aspects page. And the one question I had to answer was describe how a user interacts with this innovation. And there are 4 different types of virtual reality, including immersive, window on world, telepresence, and mixed reality. And typically a headset is placed over the user's eyes, which would block out the outside world, and this causes the user to, since they're blocking out the outside world, they can be placed in a completely different reality. And virtual reality can also be used on a computer screen or projected onto a larger surface, which is most commonly used for medical purposes or purposes such as that. The next question I had to answer, it was to describe how virtual reality's technology incorporates abstraction, algorithms, programming, and the internet to accomplish its purpose. So I decided to talk about virtual reality in regards to its algorithms, and I talked about how when you use VR, when you turn your head to the left and to the right, you can see the edges of the screen. So the presence of you being in a different reality will be broken, and virtual reality tries to use computer graphics and algorithms to hide that side of the edge of the screen and recalculate the picture as you move. So if you turn your head in different ways, it would seem like there's no end to the screen, like as if it would surround you 100 or 360 degrees. And after much research that has been done about algorithms in regards to virtual reality, it was found that the screen should be about 90 to 100 degrees in order to not see the end of the screen and in order to not break your presence from being in another reality. If one of the next pages I worked on was my data page, and I answered a few questions about different types of data used. So one of the questions was describe how the innovation consumes data, produces data, and transforms data. So I talked about how the input in virtual reality is the information from your surroundings that is used to make the VR headset track where your head is and any movement that you make, and therefore the output would be the images displayed on a screen, which change and move around based on the way you move around in your head movement. And virtual reality is taking what people expect to see in the real world as they turn left and right or move forwards and backwards, and it's replacing it with imagery that moves and behaves the same way. The next question I had to answer was to describe at least one data storage concern, data privacy concern, or data security concern. So I talked about data security, and I talked about how some platforms of VR are designed without security mechanisms just because it isn't that popular of an innovation yet at the stage. And also some of the communications between virtual reality devices and their servers are sent unencrypted. And in the future, if virtual reality headsets become everyday devices, then someone might be able to track what you are watching at any time, which would not be good for a multitude of reasons. And also, if someone hacks a VR headset and they could launch a visual attack, which could cause a lot of individuals to be in harm's way if that happens. The last page that I talked about, or the last page on my website, is my references page. So this is a list of the references that I use to find all of my information. And the most important reference that I used was this. It is called What is Virtual Reality? I thought that this was the most useful source for my project because it talks about how virtual reality is achieved and the benefits of using VR and some of the many features it has, and other aspects on this page, not just on this front page, but it also includes different things such as ethical issues and human factors and user studies and how it was invented and how it began, and had a lot of very helpful information for my project. I thought that it had all of the most important information that I needed for learning more about virtual reality, in my case specifically. For more information on the impact of virtual reality, click on the link above for my full website.